I always say if you play lighter, play tighter. That's just a good starting point for anyone getting used to it. If you have 20 lineups.
And it rhymes. How could it be wrong?
You know, that's me.
Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, Cognizant Classic DraftKings picks, the preview. We'll talk about the ownership, build some lineups, discuss this new 5K range along with the weather, and the final bets and one-and-done strategy for the week, trying to wrap everything up to make sure to give you the best foot forward. The Listeners League is not yet full. It is down in the description right now, so go fill that up. 3 max entry, $15 to play. No rake. Best tournament on DraftKings, and you might want to get in this one. I'll tell you why a little bit later in a few weeks. Either way, fantasynational.com/Mayo is where I'm doing all my research at. You can do that too. Maybe even better research than I can do, frankly. So get your 20% off right now. You got the Players coming up, signature event next week, Masters coming in after that. So fantasynational.com/Mayo. Code Mayo also works at shipitnation.com, where Tambo has his core plays. I love the course fit rankings.
Yeah, they're solid. Lee has those covered.
Lee's got them.
They crushed again last week. Came through again. Just nice to see. So, yeah, we've had a lot of fun with it over there. The code Mayo does work. As you mentioned, a lot going on right now, but it's going to be another exciting week. We'll talk Cognizant. You got your shirt on, Pat. So how can you pick winners? That's the question.
I was actually going to go home a little bit later because I don't have all my bets in yet. That once I finalize, because I want to talk it through with you first, because you might have some ideas on this. Because I only actually have, I technically have 7 bets in, but I have like 3 guys from like 33 to 45, and then 4 guys 125 and beyond.
You've doubled and tripled down on Matty Fitz trying to make this work. So you need to go home, take your shirt off, pretend a beach backdrop, and say Matty Fitz at the number you got him at, and hope that magic works for you again.
We're going to see if that ends up happening. Yeah. So, but I was thinking, like, it's pouring rain out here today. It's freezing today. There's still snow on the ground. So it's going to be hilarious that me on a beach in Aruba last week and be like shivering outside with snowbanks behind me.
It works, man. It worked.
We'll see. We'll see if it ends up working. But I made way too many bets because I'm like flush with money right now. You know how that works.
Yes.
So let's get to the bets right now. What I have in all of this will be spelled out in more detail in the newsletter coming out later on Wednesday. It is completely free to join, to sub to. It'll get sent right to you. You can always click on it after the fact too. It's down in the description, or just go to Substack, Mayo Media Network newsletter. Boom, it'll be up there. So please go join that right now. I have a special announcement coming sometime within the next 10 days. Especially, the first people are going to know about it are the newsletter readers, so you might want to get on that. Matty Fitz, 33 to 1. I did. I went. I'll be more in depth in the newsletter too, but I put it out on Twitter, just like me trying to find different angles of why this might work. And I've talked myself into it.
It's like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night our time, and all of a sudden, just a random Pat tweet pops up, and it's like, just so you guys know, last year wasn't much different. With
it wasn't.
Quote to your own. It wasn't. It's just funny. No one asked. No one said anything. You're just out there like, damn, I got to find something, and reposting again. Just perfect to see. You're in. You're in on your guy, and it's conviction. Love to see it.
Daniel, how's your burger? 37 to 1. Killa Keith Mitchell, former winner of this event, 45 to 1. His driving and iron's been off the charts good.
I like him. I bet him with you.
Oh, you did? What number did you get? 45?
I think 45.
All right. So that's all I got for like reasonable bets. I have a whole bunch of people I'm mulling over, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like, I could easily put Tom Kim on this card, no problem. I like Tom Kim this week, but here's the issue. I also like Bhatia and Bez and Svensson and List, and like all these guys, like they all can't fit. So I just decided to put none of them on for the moment, and we'll talk it through a little bit. Bombs I have right now: Bobby Mack, 125 to 1 with 5 places. Carson Young, 150 to 1, 5 places. That was the first bet I made on Monday morning. This is a great course for him on paper.
Also, Cameron Young is in the field, and the best weeks for Carson Young are when Cameron Young are in the field, and it's the wrong C Young that you see at the top of the leaderboard.
Hey, I'm telling you, every week for Carson Young right now is the best week for Carson Young. And for Chan Kim, 175 to 1 with 5 placements. To bite from the newsletter a little bit, he might just be an easy course player. Although he's played well at Opens, and we've seen a lot of players who play well at Open Championships actually do really well at PGA National over the years. But on the PGA Tour, he beats up on like easy resort courses. Like he was good at American Express. He was good in Mexico. He hasn't been good anywhere else so far this year. So hope he either comes inside the top 5 and wins me money, or he comes dead last, so he has like a really good number for Puerto Rico and Corrales and those places.
Yeah, it makes sense. Baroff was on the Fantasy Golf Degenerates Monday. He talked about, he's a big Chan Kim fan, and he said, experience is a big factor at a course like this. Like if you got just a guy that's played golf for a while, he's been in majors, things like that, made it through. So you never know. It's worth the shot. But like I said, if he doesn't come through, you have a backup plan anyway. I was wondering how long your long shots were though when you said you could still fit Tom Kim on the card. And yeah, Carson Young, Chan Kim, some of the guys. What about Anthony Kim, live this week?
Well, I'm going to get to my live bets in a second. I got one more guy. Okay. And I only bet him because it was another guy I had to talk myself into after I bet him because they didn't give me the cash out option. I thought this guy's last name was Stranger, so I was like going to write up like a hilarious, like he sits on his hands, he can't feel his irons, that's why he sucks with his irons. But I have Jimmy Stanger at 300 to 1 with 5 places. He gained 7 strokes off the tee last week. That's an outrageous number. So obviously the guy can mash if he's got it going on off the tee. And if you can mash here, be accurate and long, you can take a lot of the difficulty out of this course. That's basically how Keith Mitchell won when he won. So, and Min Woo kind of did that last year too, except his irons are so shit, he kept going in the water. And he couldn't putt last year for weird reason. Anyway, he's 300 to 1, 5 places. He's from Florida too, so sometimes that just translates. Like guys that weren't good on the West Coast, all of a sudden, like your boy Ben Griffin, he might like actually be a play this week, not betting wise, but like DraftKings wise.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we looked at that too. He was another one. So Ben Griffin would make sense, but Stinger, Stanger, Stranger, everybody loves this guy for whatever reason, but you got him at 300, so you can't really be mad about that.
Yeah, I bet him. So first round leader bets I have in Bhatia 90, Horschel at 100, Pendrith at 110, then Carson Young 110 with 5 places, and then Stanger 250 with 5 places, where I'm going with first round leaders. Like I said, when I'm back in the first round leader market, my account is looking good.
Is there a wave advantage to those bets, or are you just looking at them straight up?
I didn't see any wave advantage. We'll get to that for Thursday.
Anyway,
Thursday's nothing. Mm-hmm. Like it's the same temperature and basically the same wind throughout the course of the entire day. Live bets. I got Brooks at 12. I cashed out my 10. They offered me an enhancement up to 12. I was like, I am in on that.
It's a good bet when. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's won here the past 2 years. He's like the 4th favorite now in this tournament. And I was like, okay, I'll take Brooks at 12 in a 54-man field. Mito at 37 played really well in Oman last week. And I bet Ogletree at 150 to 1 with 5 placements. I have more in depth on him again in the newsletter, but he played really well through the Middle East swing on the Asian Tour last year. He was 9th, 5th, then he won in Oman a year ago. He's been terrible on Live so far, but he picked up like 4 Asian Tour wins over the course of 12 months. He's 150 to 1 with 5 placements. And just, you see absolute goobers at the top of Live. Like there's one of them every single week. Yeah. He's the same odds as Anthony Kim. Like if I could take a head-to-head Ogletree over Anthony Kim, I would.
Yeah. And you got the Mayo money tree right now, so why not Ogletree? That's like you said, you're shaking it a little bit this week, putting the money in. So I'm okay with that. Whatever you think. I think people were looking for these head-to-head bets. That's why I teased the Anthony Kim thing when you said Chan Kim, but just I think people are looking to get money against him this week.
Are people looking to get money against Jake Knapp?
Feinberg. Another guy found some head-to-heads. He got money against him. He got Seabez over Jake Knapp. That's smart. I think it was like minus 125. It's pretty solid.
I did play one head-to-head. I very rarely play head-to-head, so I played Mito over Patrick Reed, minus 115 on Live.
Mito looked good last week, all his numbers and stuff I saw too.
Reed's played twice this year, and he's been awful. Like, he's not even playing these Asian Tour events. Like, before, he would play in the Middle East swing on the DP World Tour, and he'd, like, challenge Rory down the stretch, or he'd go to Singapore and play in an Asian Tour event, or he'd play in Oman like he did last year. Mm-hmm. Nothing this year. Just 2 Live events, and he's been in the bottom 10 of each.
Just saving it up for the Masters.
Yeah, don't forget to tell me to play the Masters. Euro Tour in South Africa this week.
Yep.
So what I did was I read Axis's newsletter, and then I listened to the DP World Tour Picks and Bets show on Mayo Media Network with Sky and Tom. They've hit 2 winners in a row. They did a 90 to 1 last week. So I took one pick from each of them and bet Euro. I bet Rosner at 27 to 1. Nacho Elvira, not his brother, at 50 to 1. And then Matthias Schwab is 100 to 1 in a Euro field, like a bad Euro field. This is a guy I bet on the PGA Tour like 2 years ago.
Yeah. Baroff and I both bet Nacho last week, and he came second.
Yeah. His brother came like 5th.
Got the each way, but it was still...
So I have the Schwab with the 5 places. For the one and done, if people are wondering, I went with Daniel Berger, Jeff went with Keith Mitchell, and Cuss took Seb Straka.
Oh, nice.
This week. So that is the overall betting cheat sheet. Like I said, I'm just kind of torn on what to do. I kind of want to bet Pendrith and Bhatia.
I would maybe. I don't know. The Bhatia love is interesting this week.
Bhatia, I can get at 90.
I feel more like he's like the easy course and setup guy, but maybe that's just me. I don't see it here personally at this course, but Pendrith was a darling last week. Everybody loved him. Now his price dropped on DraftKings. You can get a pretty good betting number on him. If you like him, I would pick him.
Yeah, 110 to 1.
Yeah.
In the outright betting market.
You had him first round leader too, right?
I did have him first round leader. I haven't bet him as an outright winner.
Double that one up. Why not?
He can play really well at longer courses because of his distance. This we've seen, but predominantly his best performances come at these short Bermuda courses. Like the Bermuda Championship, the Players Championship, Sony, like that kind of thing. Like that's where he excels. It's not the Bombers track where you would expect him to excel. Maybe he's very Gary Woodland like in that way.
What was the one that got stolen? Did Tony steal one from him one time down the stretch? I can't remember.
I think Patrick Reed stole Bermuda from him one year. He was winning Bermuda by like 4 strokes.
I forget now, but yeah, you're right, and that could set up well. But if you already you have it the opposite way of what usually happens, people will bet him on the outright and then forget about the first round leader, and then be like, oh, of course he's leading after round 1, so you're covered. But he's been on your mind. It's someone you got at a good number. I think you could get him in the mix. I like him.
Yeah, so just take a look back at his like peak performances so far on the PGA Tour. There's not many really to speak of, but like 7th at Pebble Beach. Let's see here. 5th at the Barbasol. That's a bit of a longer course. 3rd at Shriners, something that, Sung Jae has won. He has won here before. 8th in Bermuda. 10th at the Sony Open. 9th at Farmers a few weeks back. Before that, like 13th at the Players Championship. 5th in Bermuda. 11th at the Barbasol. And then even some of the shorter courses like at elevation, like TPC Colorado, like when he did that on the Corn Ferry Tour, just for whatever reason.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I like that one better for sure if you're going with one.
Yeah, but I mean, I have more to give here. Would you bet Tom Kim?
I don't mind Tom Kim. I think I like him for DFS this week. I don't know about betting, but I bet more like those middle guys.
Yeah, I worry about the middle guys, unfortunately.
It's probably, to be honest, the week that, Rory, who has been horrible and doesn't look good here for whatever reason. I don't even think
he's won here.
When we get to ownership. Yeah, it's like so old now, though. Again, we'll see what happens with him this week with everything else, but I know really nobody's betting him. And we've been waiting all season for a favorite just to come steal one away from everybody. And now seems like the perfect time. The Mayo money tree is dropping money everywhere, and they're just going to swoop it all up with one Rory Swift kick.
Hey, that's okay as long as like Mito comes through on live.
That's right.
Then everything is fine.
Yeah, exactly.
We get Nacho winning.
You got outs here this week. Did you do any doubles or triples?
I'm going to take all these guys and like play like 25-cent doubles and triples with them all as well.
Yeah,
just for some fun. Why not, right?
Yeah. So I think, it's interesting, but I definitely think it could be a Rory week, but Tom Kim is 10-1, and he's squeezed between Eric Cole and Henley when we get to the DFS stuff. So that'll be a good play this week.
Like I'm looking at it right now. You can get him as a boost at Bet365 up to 9-1, Rory. You're starting to get close to like where you want to be, I think.
Yeah, it just depends what you think he's going to do.
Listen, he can obviously run train on this field, but it's a course with way too many like a random bad kick, and your tournament's fucked.
Remember Lowry got punched in the face with wind on the last hole?
But he's another one that I like this week. Like I like Lowry this week.
I can guarantee he's going to come top 20 because Papa Tambo with these one and done picks, chalk every week, hits every week. Brandon Wu last week. Yep, T13, bang. Just whatever he picks, it's good.
I have moved up into the top 350, I think, in the one and done right now.
Okay.
Patrick Rogers actually had a nice week for me last week.
Nice.
And Finau ended up getting there. In terms of like...
It was fine. He did, honestly, I think if you watched the broadcast, you still might not have known Tony Finau was there. They showed him like once here and there, and it's like, holy shit, the guy still finishes T13, did nothing all week.
Oh, I can tell you what he did, because I actually watched some Tony Finau highlights. He was missing like 6-foot putts by 6 inches to the right and left.
Oh, yeah.
Not even close to the hole.
And that's what I mean. Like he left a ton out there, but also did nothing. You just see it, and then you go look, and he's T13. I mean, to be expected in Mexico Open, but still pretty wild when you can set it up that way. It's going to be a lot different this week.
Where did I actually get money from? Oh, I got money from JT at Pebble Beach and Cantlay at the Genesis. If he had actually won that would have been nice for me.
Yes.
But I did the best bet show this week with Raza and Byron, and that was my silver pick. Shane Lowry top 20.
There you go.
So
it's going to hit.
There we are. Let's talk about the one and done. How are you doing in the one and done?
Not well.
Okay. Still,
I think,
but
1200th.
But no one's doing it. 1200 is fine.
Yeah, there's room. I mean, again, we've had the one. The problem was at the first big, whatever it was. What was the signature of Genesis that had 4 million up top?
Yeah, not a lot of people had Hideki though.
That's true. That worked out a little bit in my favor because of that. Because I had a miscut there.
Like the leader right now is at Chris B6 on Twitter. He has 5.9 million in winnings. That's not a lot.
Yeah, you can catch up quickly. That's what people forget. In one and done, you've seen people turn it on late and go from something to from nothing to something in a matter of a few events. So we still got a ton of signature events, the players, the majors, all that stuff. And I think I'm at 1.3 million or something.
Yeah, like I'm at 2.1, and that's good for 389th place right now. I'm winning $480. Oh, Paul just showing off where I'm at right now with some of these. But yeah, in terms of the leaderboard, yeah, 5.9 million. Like if you get first and second each of the next 2 weeks, like at API and players, that's probably like $9 million right there, and you'd easily be in first place. So no one is even close to out of this yet, just with the lack of. I mean, no one actually. I guess people had Bez. Technically, he won, quote unquote. He got the first place share of the money at the American Express, but outside of that, like few people had Jake. I think Jake Knapp was the biggest one. I think 75 people had Jake Knapp last week.
Who was the other guy the week that Bez got first place money?
Dunlap.
Or no, like that was because Dunlap won, but who was right behind Bez? Do you remember? Was it Xander or something?
Yeah, Xander was there.
Yeah, Dad had him that week, and he was so pumped. He's like, that's the one. He's like, and it's great. The amateur doesn't get the money. I was like, of course. He's already into the rules and everything, so it's perfect. Like you said, great Christmas gift. You guys aren't in it this year, get in it next year. But yeah, this is interesting week. I think a lot of people just going to go with probably the Shane Lowrys, the Eric Coles.
I mean, yeah, who would you think is going to be the chalkier pick? I think Henley's a good pick. I don't know how chalky do you think he's going to be DFS wise or one and done wise?
Definitely chalky in DFS from what I'm seeing early.
All right, so maybe not him in one and done.
I think for sure Cole and Lowry look like two of the ones that people will be happy just to click and move on.
So I'm guessing Henley will probably be a part of that as well.
I think Henley falls into it for sure. No one's going to use Rory because why would you? There's tons of events you can use them. You use them anywhere.
Week.
So
use
why
them
would
next week?
And use it exactly. And we don't know. Like again, that's why I also kind of feel like it could just happen. I think in DFS we'll see his ownership not be as high as what the ownership projections are because people will just say, oh, I don't need him. It's tougher track, whatever. Like maybe he doesn't get there and other guys can beat him. But I want to save Rory for sure. So I think it would be Cole, Lowry, Henley,
and.
I was going to say Ann, and if people go down the board, maybe it is like a Svensson or something like where else are they using them for? So Poston's possible, yeah.
Like, do you think anyone will get to like Sungjae or Kirk or those guys, or just
Kirk could? Sungjae is who I considered because for whatever reason people don't seem to think he's good at golf anymore. So I don't know, but
Bez will probably be pretty popular as well.
Yep. I mean, even when we get to DFS, same Bez, Svensson. It's going to be a lot of the similar guys. What about Straka? I know Cuss picked him, but do people just go back on that because it's been pretty good for him here in the winter and all that stuff? So
yeah, so like I'm trying to think like, is this? It's probably not a good spot. I've bet Fitz. I'm going to use Fitz in DFS. He actually makes a lot of logical sense to be a one and done pick because no one's going to use him. Like, hey, let's wait for some form with Matthew Fitzpatrick. But like course fit wise, he actually is pretty good. Pavon, I was thinking about using just because no one's going to use him. Like, why not? Or Keith Mitchell.
Yeah, Pavon is interesting too, and I know we're still talking one and done, but DFS-wise, you're going to see a lot of the names this week that all I keep hearing is true is all these Euro guys specifically that last week were priced in like the 10K range, now down to the cheap range. Pavon is a guy that last week would have been in that 10K range or above with what he'd been doing. He wasn't playing it though, so you still can look at it and see that pricing, but I don't think anyone's going to him here. And then to your point, the Fitz thing is so interesting because even the little tidbit you put, it's only one sample from last year to this year, but he did figure it out and find his way through. Is it going to be Rory wins this week and then doesn't do good when he's popular at API?
And then it's the opposite for Fitz?
And it's the opposite for Fitz? I just think about these things sometimes, and that's one I could definitely see happening. But if you're not getting Fitz exposure this week, you didn't get the number, you didn't bet it, whatever it might be, I don't think there's any way he's popular in one and done. And again, with a guy like Fitz, what are you saving him for? We again, very good player, and we know this. He's awesome. But it's not like a Rory where you're like, okay, I know here. It's Fitz still. Yeah. You could use him here and get away with it. So.
I mean, this is like when we got Jack to come up with the tool on Fantasy National for the season-long planner. That's one of the tabs at the top right now. I think it's an awesome tool for trying to prep out your one and done, or even like if you're doing best ball drafts and trying to figure out, hey, I can actually I can draft guys at the back end of my best ball drafts who are actually in these fields, and I can pile up points that way. All you're really saving people for are signature events and majors. That's it. So basically you have to think like, who are the 8 guys that I really want to use at these tournaments. And that can even include the live guys who aren't eligible for half of those tournaments. So what are you like? Fitz isn't one of those guys.
What are we saving up for? What's his RBC Heritage? His favorite course in the world.
Oh no, maybe Webb Simpson will turn his life around, and we can use Webb.
There'll be
Simpson
lots
there.
of guys that turn it around by then. I don't hate your thought process around it. I mean, you even bet the guy, so we made fun of that and joked about it. But at the same time, there's no way anybody's playing a guy like him or even Cameron Young. I just don't see people playing these guys at this event this week in one and done.
Who would you rather use as your one and done, Fitz or Cameron Young at this course? I'd rather use Fitz.
The only thing is with Cameron Young, he actually has a little bit of form right now, so I could.
He is, I mean, if you
I think it's like a third and an eighth and a sixth, or so. It's not been horrible for him.
If you need someone to come in seventh in a non-big money event, Cameron Young's your man.
Yeah, that is true.
Fitz might come last. He might win though.
That's true. Yeah, I'm with you. I probably would still lean Fitz.
All right, I'll figure that out. So I took Berger in like the general one and done that we do. So
some good interview stuff on him yesterday. Says he's healthy. Obviously, we know he's from the area, friends, family, etc. But he said he's good. And there was only really, it was the Farmers, that one bad round, 79, and caused him to miss the cut. But after that, it's been like 71, 60. I think 71 is his worst round. 69, 68, 67. Like there's rounds in there.
Well, we talked about it a little bit, and you kind of poo-pooed me at the time. But I do think that there's a lot of merit to like when the first week with Zalatoris and at the Sony Open, and what wasn't he able to do? He really wasn't able to chip or putt all that well. That it was kind of the same thing with Berger. Like when he came back, like the ball striking was like okay. Like you saw remnants of what you saw from Berger throughout the course of his career. He still hit a ton of fairways. Like his irons were pretty good. Couldn't chip, couldn't putt. Woodland couldn't chip, couldn't putt. Tiger, I mean, was just all over the place, but he really couldn't chip or putt. It just once you can practice everything that you want, but tournament settings are just a little bit different. Like you can go to the range and hit driver all you want. And you can figure that part out. It just, that stuff seems to come back a little bit more slowly. And once you get like a tournament or two, then you're back to where you were.
Yeah, reversing my thoughts, I think like to your point, that is a good call because like you can have your TrackMan and sit there and figure out your distances and dial that in no matter what your setting is. But like you said, even though like a guy like Zalatoris, I remember it now at the time, what he had said is he'd done a lot of chipping and putting and practicing because that's all he could do with the back and everything that was going on. But it's not the same. You can't really replicate the exact same setup. You can't replicate these greens as the day goes on, or there's dew or mist on them. Some of the POA stuff where it gets bumpy and all. It's just really hard to replicate that and practice it the same as how much work they put into their ball striking, their irons, their driver, all of that stuff that they can really get the numbers off of. So I think it makes good sense to what you said and makes a lot more sense now coming in. So with more reps on a guy like Berger, maybe now would be a time you see him being a little bit better.
And you get him back to a place where he's very familiar with the course. Like he knows how to play around this course. Even going back and watching some of I watched the past 6, like the highlights of the highlight packages on the PGA YouTube page are so bad. They're so bad. And they miss like very critical elements of what happens in these tournaments.
No way.
Like, you
PGA Tour.
You have to show like
stuff.
2 more shots, being like, oh, that happened?
Yeah.
Oh, like you could have, but no, it's like, no, we need to see Zach Johnson at +8 chip in. Like he chipped in, great.
When they tell you just moments ago, it's like, okay, now we know it goes in. Thank you.
Yes, thanks. I do like I think it was the Players' Championship one year. Whatever year it was, they were like expanding coverage.
Yeah.
And like they really made an emphasis to do it. I just remember Charles Howell in particular. It's like, and this was a moment ago from Charles Howell III from like 50 feet. And he like just missed.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. They're throwing us a curveball.
Throw a curveball every now and again. I wouldn't mind it as much. It's when the guys, they pop up the name with the score and it's 8 over. And you're like, this is meaningless. But they're going to show it to us anyway. Thank you so much.
You know what it was? I think it was the U.S. Open where they have that mandate where they do have to show a shot from every player. Maybe that's the PGA Championship, whatever one that is. I think it was that tournament. Like it threw me off a little bit.
That would make sense.
Weather-wise this week, like I said, nothing really on Tuesday at all. It's going to be a nice 22 degrees Celsius, 3 million Fahrenheit maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's like 65 or something like that, 65 to 70. The wind down to 3 miles per hour in the morning gets up to a high of 10 throughout the course of the day. Like that is nothing at this course.
So yeah, I agree. Everything I saw was pretty similar, at least for now. We'll look into it a little more later today just to see if it changes, but no real heavy rain or anything leading up to it. So fast and firm is what I'm hearing from everybody that's there right now. The, talks of the wind and everything like that's going to make it even worse. And then I guess the only question is, Pat, like at a course like this, You know I'm always all for this anyway, but I'm certainly fine with some PMAM stacks regardless because
just
going through the bear
weirdness.
trap on Friday afternoon with everything on the line and the cut and all that, I can definitely see. Don't have to do it with everybody. You can also just do it with some of your quote-unquote scrubs if you want, but I know lately a lot of people have said it's been easier to pick scrubs than it has been getting the guys up top right, so.
Well, I mean, listen, this is the best DFS golf year I've ever had. At least, I have had bigger wins, but like consistently doing well week over week, like having an awesome year.
Yep.
And a lot of that has to do is just, it makes my selection process so much easier just separating into AM, PM. Like I get to expand my player pool a little bit more overall, but I have a really condensed version of lineup, if that makes any sense. Yeah. Like instead of playing like 30 guys over 50 lineups in general and just mixing them all together, I might play like 35 guys over 50 lineups, but 25, like I cut it in half, and it's 25 lineups for like 15 guys, 25 lineups for 15 guys, that if I do get one of the waves right, or I get the scrubs right from one side, they just kind of, I've been lucky that they've matched up in that way.
You get natural pivots. Like last week, Sam Stevens, 7,100. It was easy to land on him. I understood why people were there. I had him in some, like certain lineups that made sense. Not who you play, it's how you play them, like we talk about. But I also talk about building in these sets. I talk about wave stacking is not weather wave stacking. That's a different scenario. There is weather wave stack weeks that we do. The players got it wrong. Could have ran both sides. But the point being of wave stacking is you will sometimes naturally avoid the chalk. And that was the Sam Stevens example. Someone said, how do you get to this guy at 7K as the pivot to Sam Stevens? Well, if you look into it a little further, it's because I had everyone from the opposite side of the wave that he was on that particular build. And therefore, this ended up happening. So it's just an interesting thing to take away and try out. But everyone builds differently. Everyone has their own way. And it's no different than when somebody asks you, how many guys in your player pool? Oh, the magic number, 47. You put that, you're going to win. It's not how it works. Like there's people with 97 players that get there. There's people that play 18 guys and get super leverage on all of them that win. So it's different for everybody.
Yeah, I remember ages ago, what was his name? CJ Bedford came on. He was like, he just went on a hot run. And I had him on. He won I think 3 straight weeks. He was in like 6 figures or something like that. And he was basically like, yeah, like I run I think it was like 20 lineups and I run 12 guys through it. And just, if my core hits, I'm going to win.
Yep.
And that's just the way it's going to roll. But I remember talking to Brian Hooper about it, who plays like 150 max and that kind of thing. He's like, yeah, I play like 80 guys.
Yeah.
And he wins too. So there's just many different ways that you can approach this.
Yeah, every week is different, and that's to your point. The nice part about when you play, like I always say, if you play lighter, play tighter. That's just a good starting point for anyone getting used to it. If you have 20 lineups.
And it rhymes. How could it be wrong?
You know, that's me. You got to have those one-liners. But like this is the setup of that where someone was saying even in our Discord today over at Ship It Nation was like, when I play 20 lineups, I play a much lower number of guys. But he said, like, I have when it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But you're looking for those spike weeks. And what he said is like the weeks that it happens. He said weeks where everybody makes the cut. Imagine, I mean, when you're 100% 6-6, I know it's only 20, but you can only be 100%. And these are on weeks where it's 5 to 10% 6-6. And because you condensed your pool to just this, now you've got 100% 6-6. You're going to have a lot of fun over the weekend with your sweat and having guys have a chance to get to the top.
I've been playing DraftKings golf now for 9 years. No, 10 years? 2014? When I'm playing like Tyrone Von Asswagen at $6,100?
Yes.
I've had 1 week where I've got my entire player pool through the cut. It was the Puerto Rico Open one year. I want to say in like 2019 or something like that. And I was big on Scott Brown that week. I don't know why that sticks out. And I lost money.
Oh, man.
The 6-6 percentage was 61%.
Yeah, see, this is the difference maker for sure. But yes, it is, it can change like that. Also, you could get them all through, and you still only have 20 lineups, even though you're 100%. It's better than everybody else. It's only 5%, but the guys can go backwards, and maybe your main core piece that's in 60% of your builds is the guy that shoots 74, 75 over the weekend, and that just sucks in that instance. But overall, I do like the concept, and that's sort of back to the original point of if you are just stacking a wave, you would get naturally different from the chalk in a lot of cases.
Let's move to DraftKings picks for the week. The first thing that I want to talk to you about, because this kind of hit me, and I was in a place where I couldn't play DraftKings lineups last week. I was trying to, and I was like, oh yeah, not eligible in my region. This is no good. There's a 5K range now?
Yes.
So how are you approaching this?
Mostly ignoring.
Okay.
And so even last week, I want to bring this up quickly because we talked about it on the First Look show this week, was that the optimal last week did include a 5K guy, and it was 47.4 was the salary used.
Okay, so no one's building that lineup.
Right. And then the point I wanted to more so argue was that, the score was massive. I think it was like 680 or something. And, people were winning tournaments with 620, 630. Go ahead.
Was Ben Silverman the guy?
I want to say it was CT Pan. I thought it was
that makes
5,700
sense.
last week. And again, he was very optimal. Like, that makes sense. But I'm saying there was a scenario there where you could just move him up to a $7,500 guy and still have money left over and still have a tournament winning score. So when people are like, see, told you the 5K, you needed it to be optimal. You don't need to be optimal to win the actual GPP. I'm not saying not try. Let's get there. Let's go with it. But it's no different than people post out the optimal lineup each week and it shows 45K or 46K and everyone's like, oh man, I got this bad boy strategy this week. I see that the optimal always leaves $3,000 on the table. I'm going to build all my lineups with a cap of 47K and make sure I stay between 45 and 47 because then I'll win. It just doesn't work like that. So that's my point more so is that there is, I don't know if you saw this, Pat, but what it did, and they did it again this week, it changed it so the 7K range is only 18 guys. If you recall in the past, with the 7K range is usually 35 to 50 guys that you'll get in there. So now the 6K range down to 5K is 97 guys. And so it's more of like a needle in a haystack thing. I'm not saying don't use it. I'm going to use them and you can get aggressive with it. I really like it overall because it does spread out the ownership in some of these certain ranges and it helps congest the other areas. Like we will know exactly who the chalk is today, 6-7 guys, boom, because the way it sets up. But I don't think you have to be forcing it just to say you did it. That's kind of the setup I'm looking at.
So I think it's going to become, because I see a name down here and I have no idea if he's going to be good or not, obviously, but like Jorge Campillo is in the 5K range. I think you're going to get the chance to use some of these Euro players who might actually secretly be like okay or better than the range that they're in at a cheap price the first time that we see them. That would be my initial take on it. And I do have some, like, here are some guys, like I ran my model, short-term modeling on Fantasy National. You can find the settings and everything in the newsletter that came out on Monday if you want to copy them or just kind of go around. Oh, yeah, Mac Messier.
Oh, he's hilarious, actually.
Well, it's like Messiner, but every time I see M and Messiner, I'm like, hey, Mark Messier's in this. Get that
Messier.
man some Lays.
Well, there's a quick funny story on him. Is Vince Whaley WD'd on Monday, right as pricing is about to come out. We're waiting on pricing for the first look show. It says Rob Bolton posts it, Vince Whaley out, Mac Meisner in. Sure enough, the pricing comes out like 5 minutes later from DraftKings, and they just slammed Mac right at the bottom at 5K flat. It was like the last thing. They just throw that shit at the bottom of the CSV, press send, and let's get it out there. And boom, he's there at the very bottom.
Parker Cootie is $5,100. He has top 25s in his past two starts, one being at Torrey Pines, one in Mexico last week. He's gaining on his approaches.
What's his brother's name again?
Pearson Cootie. He had to WD last week because Daddy couldn't pay off anyone on the scorecard.
We missed that.
Prevent him from shooting plus 10.
We missed that last week, and you missed the pricing. This is the interesting part as well, to tie back here after that, I got you, is that Pearson was priced less than Parker substantially last week. I think it was $1,500 less. And everyone's saying, wait, I thought Pearson, your guy, was the guy. And they're like, no, it's Parker. And then Parker goes out and has another good week. Now they're both priced at the exact same price at $5,100. So again, that's the other thing about this range. Parker might get to 4 or 5% this week. Whether you think that's good, bad, ugly, I don't know. I'm just saying it's not like these guys in the 5K range, even if people see that as a misprice, it's not popping him up to like 15% or something. He's 5,100. You can build a ton of different ways with him if you want to use him. Sam Ryder is another example. He's at 5,900. I think he came third here or something recently, like last year, the year before. He's going to do that again, of course. 5,900. Got to get him in there. He pops. So you're going to see 2 or 3 of these guys be 3 to 5 or you want to say 4 to 7% range to put something on it. But nobody gets out of hand down in this range from what I can tell.
No, I'll use Parker Cootie this week.
Sure.
I think it's a good price to make Rory lineups work, or if I really want to jam at the top and use we just talked about all the guys it's hard to bet this week because there's so many guys between 30 to 1 and 75 to 1 that we like that people are going to get chopped off. Well, you can kind of use like 5 of those guys and Parker Cootie in a lineup if you want to.
Yep.
The other one, like Bud Colley, I actually do have. I'll probably have more interest in him in Houston when we get back to Texas. But I was like, I don't want to say astonished by how good his ball striking was in Phoenix for the first time playing in 4 years. He lost 6 strokes. He's another guy. Lost around the greens, lost 6 strokes putting in his first start back. But the ball striking was really good.
Yeah, I think it's that range is like he's there at 5,500. I know people are talking about Joel Damon. I know people are talking about Matthew Neesmith. Again, none of them can really get ownership, so just take your stands and pick your guys. I would just encourage, if you are going down here, to hope that you nail your scrubs and pick them, like play them. Put them in 7 to 10% so that if you've got 150 lineups, you actually have exposure to these guys. And it's not like, oh man, I knew, Bud Cauley was a good play. I threw him in this one lineup. Just didn't work out. Yeah, because you played him in one lineup. And then I'm saying this to people that are playing multiples. If you put them in your single entry and that's ballsy and you did it, I'm good with that. It's not like right or wrong. I'm just saying it's the complaints of, I had 100 lineups. I had this Bud Cauley lineup and it sucked. Well, you played him on one lineup. Like you didn't give yourself any chance if he had a good week. Can't be that mad.
The other two I was looking at, Carl Wan. Shout out to the guy that bet $6,000 on Carl Wan.
That was insane.
It was pretty funny.
It had to be like publicity for the bar too. Like I know it was like Tom and Jerry's bar or whatever it was, but it was like, running it up to 6K. Definitely a good little stunt there. Got some good exposure. It was crazy round two. Do you see it? Crazy Carl, speaking of, was like 6 under.
Yeah, he had the terrible round one, but I think he eagled the final hole of the day in round one to like get back to
Kept
even.
the momentum rolling.
Yeah, and then he just boom crushed on.
Guy's
on
mood
Friday.
changed real quick overnight. He was like, he thought he was out of it, and then that Crazy Carl gets in the mix like that. He's like, oh shoot, we got a weekend here now. So it didn't work out, but yeah, he's down there. There's a bunch of names you could make cases for in the 6K range. This is what I was bringing up earlier, Pat, because I know you saw it last week, but didn't get to really harp on it or talk about it too much. Is because the 7K range is 18 guys, the 6K range becomes a ton of dudes that like should be 7,400.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? If Dietrich was 7,400, Bhatia was 7,400, Davis Thompson was 7,500, any of these guys I'm just putting fake prices on, they're all the same. So just keep that in mind as well when you're building.
Paul, how are you feeling about Andrew Novak this week after his 2 consecutive very good starts? I know this isn't a resort course, but Phoenix wasn't a resort course either, and he played really well there.
This is not an Andrew Novak week.
Okay.
Long
That's
resort
all.
courses, Paps Palom Greens.
He knows this is the greens he's on too.
That's the headquarters of Novak Nation.
Novak Nation.
Paul is the leader of Novak Nation.
That is incredible.
Paul's been betting this guy for like, I don't know. Didn't he pop up at like Puerto Rico or something like that? And you're just like, resort course, Novak,
It was Vedanta like 2 years ago, and I was just like, this is basically with like John Rahm at the front of it. This is basically like a second-rate tournament. Like it's an alternate event. So yeah, I found like, Puerto Rico, and like he pops off the chain. The one thing that annoyed me was that I always intended to bet him last week, but like he showed some form in
Phoenix.
In Phoenix, which like I feel like he would have been 300 to 1 rather than 125 because he had been awful.
Novak Nation.
We'll get there
over
one
that
day.
one. John Rahm light when he's at a resort course. You can get Andrew Novak. I love that call.
I just like Novak Nation. So let's. I mean, we should probably look forward a little bit to Puerto Rico and Corrales. So I got 4chan, we got Novak.
We got 2 guys.
we
Building
got-
blocks.
We got one more to go. I wouldn't even play DraftKings lineups that week, so I'm looking for outright bets.
You said Carson Young every week, so he's a guy too.
I think Carson Young is like qualified for the players.
He's going to win soon.
Where is he going to win though?
What you just said.
This week?
Puerto Rico.
No, I don't think he's in those fields. I think he's in like the better fields,
Damn. I was going to say that.
which is not good for him.
Yeah, that is not good for him.
Although
You're
I
right.
could see him being good at Sawgrass. Like he is the perfect profile for like I had Eric Cole, Ben Griffin, and Justin Suh last year were kind of like my bombs. And they all played really well at Sawgrass. Just they don't get into trouble off the tee.
And I like what you said there too, because that's the other thing. He'll be cheap, and people are like, there's no way. They see him as the easy course guy, easy field guy. So how is he going to do anything in the players? But he's going to pop through and have a made cut for you and be just what you need to make the other 5 spots work.
Aaron Ryan this field,
No,
he should be. Like it feels like he hasn't been playing at all.
he just played.
He played last week. Yeah, he came 19th. But like it just, I always thought he was better than he is. Maybe that's
He won the Scottish Open.
he did win the Scottish Open. He won a bunch of times, like 3-4 times, I think. He finished top 10 in the Open Championship that Morikawa won.
He's fine. I play him all the time.
He's another guy. He just hits a ton of fairways, and sometimes he gets hot with his irons.
And sometimes when I know people make fun of the 2 gloves and stuff, but typically when he makes the cut and he's in it over the weekend, he does good. So he's a good showdown play over the weekends too. It hasn't been the case this year so far, a couple of events monitoring it, but in the past, like last season, it was always, if he made the cut, he typically had a pretty good weekend.
Chandler Phillips.
He was in the mix last week.
Yeah.
Some good stuff.
I'm just looking at the guys who gained an approach last week. He gained almost 5 strokes. Lonto was up there. Someone named Alvaro Ortiz Becerra was very good, but it was Knapp and then Mitchell, Ryan, the Gim Reaper, and Novak. And then Eckroat.
Gim's in the mix again this week, your boy. He's the guy, by the way, too. Shout out to everybody out there that watched last week when we filled in for you. He was the guy we forgot on the Mayo special.
How did the Mayo special lineup do?
I did not see how it finished out, but I know that the number one comment, we were like, please let us know. I'm probably missing somebody. Who
Was
would
Knapp
it be?
in it?
No, it was more on like your past history.
Oh,
guys,
okay.
Right? Like guys you always liked. And so anyway, it was definitely missed out on Doug Gim. That was for sure. So he's here this week. We can get back to it this week with him.
Let's look at ownership before we start building out some lineups. What do you think Rory comes in at? Because I'm seeing, like, this is the funny thing sometimes about Fantasy National, that it's really hard to, I think, gauge it, because you have these 5K guys. If people are comfortable with playing them, then you play all the Rory that you want and pair them up with fucking Cam Young if you want to. Like, that's not a viable strategy maybe, but it's something that you can easily do in your lineups. But he's being favored a whole bunch. His current ownership projection is 13%, but he's the most generated guy in lineups.
So what's the...
I don't know. I don't know where he comes in. It's just
What's the generated lineup percentage?
26%.
Yeah. I feel closer to that. My thought would be 25 to 30 range, but putting just a random number on it and not being surprised if it was like 24. Because I actually think when we get to it, and you'll see, because the Henley, Cole, Poston, Im, and Kirk, Lowry, even people like Berger this week, for what, you know what I mean? Like all these reasons, there's just going to be a lot more people comfortable moving down the board. So I think he could come back a little bit from what people think. I've seen projections out there for like 28, 25, 29, things like that.
I would guess that the 25 number is probably the closer number than the 13, and that'll probably get adjusted as the day goes along. It's just because the favorite percent, it seems like people are either making a stand like I'm playing a ton of Rory or I'm not playing Rory.
Yes, I agree. And that's the other angle of it too, is again, mentioning it, but huge FOMO with this 9K range where people are just not going to want to miss out. Like, again, I mentioned all those
I'm
names.
good with missing out on, like, these guys never fucking win.
Right. And so if you think like that, that's what I'm saying. But then the other side of the coin is when people say, but it still is Rory, and he hasn't looked that good lately. Like, they'll just go off of that, and then it's 12-2, and the punts are not the issue. People have tons of punts they want to play. It becomes, how do you do it and not go? And then they definitely, if they can't get to Rory in their mind, they're not getting likely to Youngs and Fitzpatrick's. So then like, screw it. I'll just go back down. At least I'll get 3 of these guys in this 9K range and get some win equity and some upside that way, is what they're, the general public is going to think.
So how can I frame this? I was just looking at Denny McCarthy because no one's playing Denny McCarthy.
Right.
Like, there's a couple guys. So here are the guys that no one is playing that I can accurately say that like are just going to be wildly underowned. Fitz, number 1. He'll be like, he might be sub 5% in this field.
I think he'll still get to like 7 or 8.
I don't know, man.
Either way, put a number on it, but I think he's higher than 5.
Okay. I think that he'll be, I would set the over under at 5.0. And you're taking the over. I would take the slight under. But he's not going to be owned. Minwoo, no one's playing. Mm-hmm. Denny McCarthy, very few are playing. And then you get to this range. Poor Jake Knapp, man. The guy has amazing. I might play Jake Knapp at $8,400. Like, legit, no one's playing him. He just won.
And there is the angle too. The
bomber narrative,
the week after the win, there was like that thing back in the day. Someone did it, I forget, but like the pricing goes down. If their price goes up after a win, you don't want to chase it. If their price goes down after a win, you can keep riding it. And I thought everyone had the don't sleep on Jake Knapp, but I came up originality key, wide awake Jake. Everybody was on him last week. The tickets were everywhere. You were all over him, shirtless on a beach. Everybody was on Jake Knapp. He was 20% in tournaments. Like, a bunch of people played him. Now everyone's going back to sleep, right? They're going back for their nap with Jake. They don't want to use him. I'm seeing like 5%.
I think I would take the under on 5%
there you go.
on Jake Knapp this week. And if he can do what he did off the tee, not so much Sunday, but the other 3 rounds, like, that's the cheat code to this course. Long and straight. Bombs away. Be Keith Mitchell. Be Brooks. Be one of these guys. Be a winner out here again on the PGA Tour. I'm not going to.
What if Jake Knapp is the next Brooks Koepka?
I said that to Jeff on Monday.
Yeah, like what if he is?
Just is he the next like Rahm?
He just starts picking it up. He starts winning tournaments. It starts here. All of a sudden he's at that. I mean, people are making fun of it, but It would be funny. I don't think so, but just if he did, I mean, anything can happen. It's the
But
PGA Tour.
but because of his like both price point and ownership percentage, I am going to play.
He's
him
the
this
average
week.
price.
Yeah.
He's 83.33. He's 8,400.
And I'll probably end up on Højgaard as well because no one's playing him. Now it's the bad Højgaard, but he's on a really nice run. He has
I was
five.
going to say he's been a lot better lately. I mean,
Yes, I mean Nikolai came second at Torrey Pines. That's pretty good.
fine, but even like if you look at the Rasmus run, if you will, it's been very solid.
5 starts in 2024, no finished worse than T11.
And don't forget what everyone gives Nikolai credit for, which they should. He won the DP World Tour Championship and came second at the Nedbank. 2 pretty decent events when you look at the strength of field and some of the guys that were over in those. His brother was right behind him in both of them. I think he was 11th and 6th. So he's fine too, and he's 8,500.
So I'm toying around with an idea that once a month, because everyone's just like pissed off about the official world golf rankings, and they're like, oh, the data golf rankings say this, and they say this. I'm just going to start doing my own rankings. That once a month, I'm going to do the top 50, Pat's top 50 in the world.
MWGR, the Mayo World Golf Rankings.
Exactly.
All right.
And like, if I'm just trying to like parse it through my mind, there's not going to be any sort of formula for it. I'm just going to base it off like gut. Like, now, who do I think is better, Brooks or Patrick Cantlay? I think Brooks is better. So Brooks is going to be higher than him. But if I'm looking at this, like, do I think that Rasmus Højgaard is better than Eric Cole? I do. I do think he's better than Eric Cole.
So then you got to get in on that. 9,900 for Eric Cole, 8,500 for Rasmus.
So I'm going to play Rasmus.
Yeah.
I mean, but I mean, I also think that, like, would there anyone in the world say that Eric Cole is a better player than Min Woo Lee right now? No. But for this course kind of thing, you know what I mean?
That's what it comes down to for sure. I mean, Mathieu Pavon, your boy, he's been crushing. Literally won. And he's at
No one gives him
8,700.
any credit.
And then it's like, no way you can do it again. So he's down here.
All right, that's the guy that I'm using for my other one and done team, the one that's in 1,500th. I'll use Mathieu Pavon.
Go for it. Yeah. I mean, he actually feels like he would kind of fit here quite nice. So we'll see. But
And the other one that he'll probably end up with late steam because it always happens is Corey Connors.
he's getting late steam for sure.
Yeah.
I liked it more at the start. Like, I actually already see him up in that 15 to 18 range. Like,
Okay.
I think he's going to get pumped because his recent results, and then it's more of just what's around him. Yes, Lowry and Berger will get a little bit, Mitchell will get some, but I think after that is the drop off, and you can easily afford him at 9,100 with those punts down low.
He is so bad on these greens. Like, worse than he normally is, somehow. And he can't chip here. It's next week is the Corey Connors spot.
So you fade here and hop on next week.
I think that's what I might end up doing. And then he'll just win it 12-1 at Valero again.
What's weird to me, though, just saying Corey Connors, because right below him is, so you mentioned Denny. Steven Yeager, usually a fan favorite. It maybe looks like 12 to 15. That's fine. Get away with it. Pavon, who you talked about. Straka, Rasmus, Knapp, Hostler, and even Hostler and List look lower than what I would usually expect them to be at. But I think it's just a product of the pricing where it's so easy to just get those multiple 9K guys and skip over this 8K range.
So as we've been going through this, I've been piling up some names for like my final bets. Eckroat was one that jumped out to me like right away. And I kind of claimed that he would win at some point. I didn't realize he gained so many strokes on approach last week. And he hits a ton of fairways, which is good for this course. 6,700 this week, so I'll be using him in some lineups. But the ones that I have it kind of down to, like I mentioned Bhatia, I like Bhatia. Probably not going to go with Lowry, we'll see. List is really interesting here. I mean, if he can putt, I brought this up with, I think it was with Ben yesterday, that the around the green game is absolute trash. Like, that's why he lost at Riviera. And Hideki obviously got super hot, but he gained over 6 strokes putting. This has happened like multiple times now, that he doesn't have his putter fixed, but when it's going right, it goes really, really right, which is exactly what you want for him.
Yeah.
And
also, the angle of the around the green stuff is like, again, you're playing this guy to hit greens. That's what. So again, if it doesn't work out, it wasn't working out anyway. Is my point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If he has another bad around the green game, it's over anyway. So it doesn't. You're playing him hoping that he's hitting these greens, hoping that he makes putts. You're not expecting 6 strokes gained with the putter, but you take what you get. And also, when it comes to DFS or betting, I mean, pricing matters. His bet number better. His price on DraftKings cheaper. Like, you're getting something out of that. So even if he does get some late steam, I'm still fine with your thought process here.
Yeah, it was just that, like, he has the potential to win this tournament.
Sure.
Like, he's lost in a playoff to Justin Thomas here before. And
Man, the rock bounce.
I know, I remember.
And there was like a fake Justin Thomas in the stands wearing the same gear as him, and the camera went to him, and it was not him. I remember this vividly. It was perfect. But yeah, that was a tough year. So List is definitely capable. I like the call on him. Both. What's his number?
I think you can get him as high as 65 now because it doesn't seem like anyone's betting him this week.
I think I bet him, actually.
Did you?
I made my bets on Monday with Baroff, and I think he's on the list. So I'm pretty sure I did bet him. List is on the list. Yes, there you go. So I can't remember what the number was, but I actually do think I bet him. I'd have to look it up.
So the other ones, like I said, Bhatia, Justin Rose was another one. Just why not?
I don't think anyone's playing him either. But
No,
betting him, whatever you want to do with him, he's 8K. You could do anything there because if people are going there, I think it's Noren, List, Hoagie, Svensson, and Bez for sure. So
Well, Svensson once won like a
2015 Q School
at
at the course.
that's great.
Yeah,
He beat a bunch of non-PGA players at a golf course.
Oh, also-
and he is a PGA player. Like,
Also,
okay.
it's 2024. If you didn't know,
Yeah,
I
I also routinely I went 24-0 against Cust last year in our head-to-head matchup. Great course history for me. I'm a big winner.
No, it's just nuts. 9 years ago. I mean, that's not the reason. There's other stuff that Svensson's been up to that would make sense, but it's just funny that piece gets brought in. It's like 9 years ago. It's just another added content tidbit. We talk about it all the time. These are good. It's nice to throw these out. They're content pieces, but they're useless when it comes to sample size and anything you're even talking about. I mean, 9 years ago, a lot of different shit was going on in my life 9 years ago.
Who won this event 9 years ago? Maybe Ricky won it?
Man, I couldn't tell you.
It might have been like the Russell Henley year.
Isn't it the year?
I think
Isn't it the year Rory won it?
No, Rory won in 2012.
Oh, so even
Rory won the year that Tiger made his comeback, and Tiger shot like 61.
62 on
62
Sunday, I
on
think.
Sunday and missed the playoff by a stroke. And then Rory went to a playoff with Henley, Knox, and Palmer, I want to say, and beat them in a 4-man playoff.
So Jake Knapp is going to shoot a 62 on Sunday since he's the new Tiger Woods, and he's
Exactly.
going to find his way through here. But yeah, I do remember that. So yeah, I don't know who it was in 14, but either way, we're talking about Svensson going way back. I think, betting him, fine. I think I got him at like 60 or something, 65.
Yeah, he's a no-fly zone for me on DFS this week.
He's going to be popular in DFS.
But
77.
but I agree with you. Like I see, like he hits a ton of fairways. He's been playing really well. He's won at this course before, but he tends to putt better on Bermuda. When he got his win, it was on Bermuda at the RSM. Like I bet him here last year. Like I think that he sets up really well for this course. But
feeling good about this tournament now.
Well-
back in studio narrative, which is not good for my course history, but do feel good about the stuff we're talking through when we get to building these lineups, because I think we're getting some clear information now. Like I said, that's the one thing about the pricing spreading out is two good things. One, it spreads it out, which is nice. So you can get leverage on pretty much whoever you want. But two, you really start to see where it's congesting, which then really tells you what the common roster construction is going to be for the week. That makes the difference.
So even going down the list a little bit before we get into that. So the highest owned guys this week, at least from what I can see right now, Rory and Cole and Henley. So lineups are going to start with Rory and one of those guys, or Rory and the next level down when you get into like Svensson, Bez, like Rory, Svensson, Bez is. Let's just start there with the lineup.
You can even do Rory Cole, but we'll get there. Yeah, so go ahead. You want to start with Rory, Svensson, Bez?
Rory, Svensson, Bez is where I'm going to start. Rory,
Segway.
Svensson, Bez. What do we got left? We got $7,500 left. Like that's all the money in the world.
Do you have other guys popular below 7,400? I've got at least one.
Let's see, below 75, Gim is going to be pretty popular. Hoagie is going to. What do you make of Hoagie this week? Like just killing it right now. Number one in my model. Sucks at this course.
Yeah, it's a battle of recent form versus course history. There's a couple of those this week. I don't remember all of them. We talked through them on some of the other shows. Baroff and I on the Fantasy Golf Degenerates here on the Mayo Media Network. We went through it. There was 3 or 4 instances where it's like, holy shit, this guy's playing incredible right now, or good enough for their price tag here and field strength and whatever, but their course history is horrible. So we'll have to figure that one out. But
so let's throw Gim in. Now we're back up to 7,750.
Is there any punt you think would be the punt? Like the people are gonna...
From what I'm seeing, Dylon Woo is going to be the punt.
Okay, I'm definitely
because he's 6,100.
Not against that, and that leaves you Lowry or Kirk. There you go, Lowry.
Now, if you use
probably Lowry, but it might be Kirk.
If you use Carson Young, what do you get back up to? 88. That's the Jager, Pavon, Straka. That's not really
where people are actually landing. I think you nailed it, and I forgot about Woo. I was going to say Doug Gim, and you already had him, but the other guy I had there was Woo at 6,100.
And it's Lowry over Kirk this week for what people are going to do.
Yeah, so just if you're looking at pure chalk, that's the sort of chalk Rory build that you can get to no problem. And, of course, you still have to touch up on that 9K range with Shane Lowry. You're not going into the 5s, but you have a 6, and
And
you're
no
using
8s.
those. You're using those 7K chalk guys. That's for sure.
So let's throw that one in. Now let's rebuild it to see what we can do with other Rory lineups. Now, this is the lineup that I just put together because I forgot to enter some of my free contests last week because I'm in a season-long one.
Yeah.
Totally forgot to make a lineup. So I just make one at the beginning of the week and just pick guys that I like. So I had Tom Kim, Berger, Mitchell, Pendrith, Carson Young, and Eckroat. Was my just first thing on Monday. Just pick 6 guys that filled it out in less than 10 seconds. That was my initial thought.
Kim, Berger, Mitchell, Eckroat, Pendrith.
Yeah.
And who's the last one? 72?
Kim, Berger, Mitchell, Pendrith, Carson Young, Eckroat.
Oh, Young, your boy. Carson Young made this. You left money on the table, right?
Yeah.
Yep, that's in. It projects 20 points less.
Of course it does.
But yeah, that's...
So let's change this up a little bit. So we said we're not playing Svensson, so let's take him out. And I think we can drop Wu too. Let's try this one.
Do you like Wu at all or no?
No, not really.
Okay.
He's no different than anyone else that's down there to me. I'm a slut for Johnny Vegas, so I'll probably play him again.
Okay.
Oh, he's a guy I got to bet first round leader. Did I bet him first round leader? I didn't, did I? Let's see. FRL. No, I got to add Vegas FRL to card.
Johnny Vegas DFL after round 1.
Hey, he's had some.
No, I'm just kidding. Maybe he actually could pop up here. I just see.
It's
it
funny
went good.
because people put expectations onto him. He was pretty owned last week, and I saw that everyone bet him. I myself included. I bet him last week too. But he's just doing classic Johnny Vegas stuff.
Yeah.
You
Save him for the players.
And this is one of the other tournaments where he tends to play. He actually putts well here historically in his career.
If we're playing Carson Young at the players, we can play Doug Gim. He always does well there. And then you can play Johnny Vegas. There's our players starting lineup.
I like it.
All right, we'll get there.
So we take Svensson out, take Wu out, turn Wu into Parker Cootie, let's say, at 51.
So just start with Rory Parker Cootie.
Okay, yeah, good call. So we have our expensive guy. We have the second cheapest guy on the board, who I do like. And we can build a version of this lineup. What do you do with your $8,100 here? Do you go, because my initial lean would be how can I get in Berger? How can I get in Mitchell? And I think that's pretty easy to do. So what I would do here, just trying to fill out the lineup, I'd go Berger. I'd go Mitchell. And I think I'd go... See, now I'm back down to 72. That becomes a little bit tougher, doesn't it?
Depends on what you like down there.
I like Carson. I'm going to use a ton of Carson Young this week.
So let's use him.
That gets me back up to 78. Where's Rose? Rose is 8,000. Oh, Pendrith is right there. I like Pendrith. Pendrith instead of Svensson is the pivot play of the week, if you didn't know.
Canadian on Canadian violence?
Yeah.
I like that. That happens often, too.
So that's sort of a lineup. I don't know if I love that lineup all that much, to tell you the truth.
Okay. So
Okay.
keep Cootie and McElroy. You still want to build a Rory one.
Yeah, do we want to throw Fitz into here, Tom Kim into here, instead of Berger Mitchell? We just throw another expensive guy in?
Try the double stud, yeah.
Let's do Fitz.
Okay.
I think Henley would probably be the most likely candidate for this double build.
Yep.
And we'll I'll write that down. We'll try to build with Henley as the first guy in as well in a second. So Rory, Fitz, Parker Cootie, you're back down to $5,100. This is where you can try to kind of attempt to exploit the 6K range.
Did you like Bez though? Because if you could have got by with Bez, you can get your Carson Young Pendrith, and you're already super different. You've got Rory Fitz start.
Yeah, well, I think I'm seeing if I can squeeze in one of the 8K guys that I like.
Okay.
So Bhatia, we can throw in at $6,900. I think that's a really good price for Bhatia. So the only difference really, because you say easy courses, weak field, that kind of thing, and you might be right about that, but he hits a ton of fairways, which is key for this course. He's played pretty well here the past 2 years, can't putt. His putters, I don't want to say that it's good now, but it seems to be less problematic than it has been since he went to the long putter.
He was really good at the Farmers too, actually. So
yeah, and he can ball strike. He could be the best ball striker who's not Rory in this field.
yeah,
And if he makes some putts, that's the difference.
I didn't love him to bet, or when you were talking about who you're going to bet to win of the two, but I guess, just looking at that, that's fine. That makes him even better at 6,900. So maybe he's a guy you could get to here.
So when we keep looking down the list, right now with 2 spots left, we have 7,600. That's very doable.
Ooh, EVR Pendrith.
Yeah, or you could go Bez, someone, I suppose.
It's nobody else really there, but that's your best projected one yet, is if you go EVR and Pendrith to round it out with Rory, Fitzpatrick, Cootie, and Bhatia.
But what I think I can do here to get back up to that Rose, Højgaard type of range, so let's just throw in Højgaard, just Actually, I'll throw in Rose just for kicks at 8,000. See what I have left. I have 7,200. So don't even need to play Rose. What I could do is try to get up to Berger or let's try to get up to Keith Mitchell at 9,000. 62 is too much. I don't like that.
Well, who's the punt is the question.
That's what I'm trying to figure out here. 62 is actually Chan Kim.
So if you go Chan Kim, you get your Keith Mitchell play.
Yeah, you can do that.
And projects basically the same as what we just said. So you've got.
Or let's do this then. Let's take Keith Mitchell out. Let's throw Bobby Mack in. Do you have any love for Wacky Valimaki again? Imagine if he wins. He's the guy who beats me. My guy Wacky, and I'm not on him.
Almost last week.
That's what I mean. Like if that had happened last week.
Oh, if you go with Bobby Mack,
you get Pavon.
Pavon.
Yeah,
that's your better projected one right there.
That's pretty good. Is Pavon any good? He's number 1 in the FedEx Cup standings.
Is he any good?
Like, is he like actually a guy, or is he just had a great West Coast swing?
It's been everything. DP World Tour Championship and the Nedbank. We talked about Nikolai Højgaard. He got 5th and 15th versus Nikolai got 1st and 2nd, but still he's right there. The Sony Open, top 10. The Farmers, he won. The Pebble Beach, 3rd. I don't know. How does he keep doing it? Pure luck?
Maybe. Maybe he can't putt on Bermuda. Who knows?
That could be a thing.
So the lineup is Rory, Fitz, Bhatia. So it's Rory, Fitz above 10K, and then it drops to Pavon at 87, and then Bhatia and Bobby Mack in the 6K range, and then Parker Cootie at $5,100.
Sneaky. Not many people are going to play. Even if people get to Rory and Fitz, what we just saw of all those builds you heard me mention,
It's
I know
all the low sevens.
It's all going to fit those guys in. No, not many people are going to have 2 6s and a 5K with 2 guys up top and still no 9K range. So that's what makes it unique.
So do you want to build a chalkier? I guess we built the chalk Rory.
We built it already. I think we can go to what you said. Let's start with Henley and see what that looks like.
So the Henley lineup, you take Henley immediately, you're at 70, you're at 8,000 basically per player for the rest of them. Do you think that just means people pepper? Like you play Henley,
I'm just
Svensson,
trying like the Bez, Svensson, Gim and see where you land.
Hoagie, Gim, and then who do you get up to? 96 is Minwoo or Ben An.
Can't you just get Cole in?
Yeah. How do you get Eric Cole into this lineup? So
it's just a $7,500 guy, but I guess
so. I'll take Hoagie down. Are people playing Hubbard? I feel like they should. Hubbard seems like a good Hubbard course.
I think people are playing him enough to say, let's just throw him in with Cole and call it a day, and that's what that lineup looks like. And yeah, it projects phenomenally well, but that's because it's all the chalk, pretty much.
Yeah, Henley, Cole at the top, and then
7K guys.
7K guys. Svensson, Bez, Hubbard, Gibb. So we can change this up a little bit. Like I said, I don't want to play Svensson. So let's take Svensson out and Hubbard out and keep the same lineup. And all I'm going to do is go to Højgaard and then 68 for Carson Young. How much worse is that lineup than the one we just filled
It's like
out?
12. It's not much.
Not much?
And you're already way different just from one change.
And I like that lineup better.
Yeah. Which is something you should do this week. And like I said, again, just remembering it, when you see it filled out with the 7K guys and it feels good and whatever, I mean, first of all, I think a lot of people, if they're watching this by now, know how bad that is from an EV standpoint, like finding your way to the top. You have no leverage. Yeah, you might not be duped in some cases if you find one or two of these swaps, but you're just playing the worst build. And the setup of it is that there's only 18 guys in the 7K range, means the guys in the 6K range are not that much different. They all could be in that same price point, so you really don't have to feel bad about moving off some of those guys.
One major note about this tournament as well. Play guys you think might suck here. And I would say that we talked about player pools at the very beginning. This is a week to expand your player pool because it might take one lineup. I would say one lineup, but like if you play 5% of someone this week, that might be the difference. Because so many good guys miss the cut, like the 6 of, unless it turns into like the chalk fest somehow. But like the historic 6 of 6 percentage at this tournament is some of the lowest that we see all year. Just because guys blow like one bad bounce, you're out.
It's a really tough course.
It's like the players. Like the players just historic has like a 3% 6 of 6 rate. Happens. Just so much water, it fucks up an entire tournament. Course history means absolutely nothing here. Like so, I guess with Hoagie, just play Hoagie.
Here or everywhere.
Hoagie?
No, course history not mattering.
I think course history does matter.
I just
at a lot
had
of
to
places.
throw it out there because it's always a topic of conversation. But we will find out. And again, that's the other funny part is like the example we gave earlier with Hoagie. Recent form's incredible. Course history sucks. typically recent form, we talked about this at the start of the season, is what you see come through more often than not. But when it doesn't, people are quick to jump on it and say, see, told you, it's not that. It's just funny how it works. But it also, you could find the story the other way so many times as well. This guy's awesome here, and then he misses a cut. How does it happen? It just does. It's golf.
Let's start one more. Tom Kim.
Okay. Do you think, quickly though, not to do it, but do you think Cole starts will be popular?
Okay, let's do that one then. Yeah, I do think it'll be popular. You go Cole,
It's just
Ben.
Yeah, I don't think it's that much different, but I will say obviously something has to be different because we're saying in this lineup you can't go above him. So let's say if we just even do the same similar stuff with like the Gims, Svensson, whatever, where does that land you? Out of curiosity to what the public is doing. That's what I mean.
Gims, Svensson, Bez. How does that?
8,300 is Bo Hostler, I guess. Would that be a thing?
Noren probably.
You think?
I would
People
think-
always love Hostler.
Yeah, people love Noren too. And Noren has played well here before. Did you know that?
No, that's true too. So I guess that would be the case there. And I mean, then it can easily flip to a Tom Kim lineup, but looking for ways to build differently. Yeah, if you start with Tom Kim, should be different right out of the gate, and then we can find other stuff to go with it.
Is Straka just going to get squeezed here?
I was debating that earlier. I still have him like 12 to 15 for a range, but we'll have to see
I'll turn that to Pendrith instead.
where he actually comes in. I think,
So yeah, let's do the Tom Kim.
yeah, Tom Kim.
Now, we haven't really mentioned Cam Young at all throughout the course of this show. Is there a chance he just gets squeezed and no one plays him?
I think he has to. I think him and Fitz are the ones up top that you see. Him, Fitz, and Kim are the three that just. That's where I think the late stuff on Henley, like people are wondering if Henley's going to be chalk. I think he has to be. I think it's Henley and then.
Henley and Eric Cole for sure, but I think, does that mean then all of a sudden Poston and Sungjae get squeezed too?
I think Sungjae for sure.
So Sungjae's going in the player pool is what you're saying.
Yeah, Sungjae is also my one and done, so hopefully.
But
But I always play Sungjae. It's, I mean, you're talking to me. It's not going to. I'm going to play him everywhere he goes because I think he's talented.
But that's another example right now. Like when we take a look at the pricing of this, do you think that there is anyone besides JT Poston's mom maybe who would say that JT Poston's a better player than Sungjae Im?
Just people looking at recent form. That's it. There's definitely people out there that are looking at recent form right now, being like, "Wow, Im sucks. Poston's been on fire."
And listen, maybe Sungjae from this
True.
point on is horrible. Who knows?
Very doubtful.
It would take more. It'd be like everyone who, it was just like everyone who at the end of last year was like, Justin Thomas is terrible. It's like, it's Justin Thomas. He's going to figure it out. Like, he'll be fine.
Everybody goes through these little lulls, and some longer than others. We've seen it. We watch a lot of golf. This is just part of it, but I don't even think Im is that far off the tracks right now. So
No, I mean, didn't he lead everyone in birdies at Century?
yes, he had to set like the record. This was like a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
For the most birdies in a tournament with all kinds of guys that are in this field. So
So if we start Tom Kim, do you think that's unique enough just starting Tom Kim, or do you want to throw a Minwoo or Denny McCarthy into this one?
let's go Tom Kim, Sungjae Im, Michael Kim, Doug Gim, Chan Kim.
Okay. I like where you're going with this. No SH Kim?
Well, let's see if we land on him. I didn't start with him. I went with the ones we mentioned.
Kim, Gim,
Doug Gim,
and then Minwoo.
your boy Michael Kim.
All right, we got money for Minwoo. We got way too much money for Minwoo.
I got Fitz money left over.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's Fitz, man.
Fitz Kim?
You put all the Kim and it fits Matt Fitzpatrick. Boom.
Yeah, Tom Kim with Fitz and Sungjae, Michael Kim, Chan Kim, and Doug Gim.
Buddy, that lineup is going to just crush. And it actually projects better than some of the ones we made earlier.
That's awesome.
So-
I assume that has anyone with Parker Cootie in it. I'm actually going to replay this lineup and take Fitz out and put in Minwoo Lee.
No, that doesn't even make sense.
Why?
I don't know. No, go ahead. But that leaves $1,000. So you're more likely to be optimal since you left $1,000.
Well, can we get up to anyone here?
No, I like what you had.
Can we get from Chan Kim? So we have Tom Kim, Sungjae Im. Is there anyone else in like the low seven?
No, because SH Kim can just replace Michael
What
Kim.
about Brandon Wu?
You would hurt his feelings though.
Are you playing Lee Hodges?
Probably, yeah.
I'm not.
I don't mind him. Again, none of those guys down there are going to get enough ownership to matter. So you can get away with it. Just depends on what the rest of your builds look like. And again, I'll see later on today. I don't build till later on Wednesdays. So don't know where I'm at as of right now exactly. But I have a good idea on stuff. Like I said, when we get to our head-to-head, which I can't seem to win ever, I'm going to try and use it against you there until you screw it up.
Well, let's do that. Let's get to the head-to-head matchup. I am now 3-1-1. I've gone 6 of 6 against you. Like, the lineups that I'm playing against you are, like, good lineups.
I just put them in tournaments now. I just remember like, oh, I'm up against this lineup this week. I write it into my thing, and then I go put it into like a qualifier or something like that. There you go. Pat's
so
good.
That means I get first pick in this?
Is that true?
Yeah, the winner gets first pick, right? Is that how we're doing it? Or do I get to choose? Like, I can defer to you. Or does
You could defer if you wanted, but the winner does get first pick.
So let's do that. Let's give the option here.
Okay.
I'll defer to you. You can have first pick in the head-to-head.
All right. I will take Rory.
Okay. I'll take Carson Young. And if I do that, yeah, it's pretty good. I like that. And Parker Cootie. Parker Cootie.
Yeah.
Gonna
there you
win
go.
me the money. The $0 against you.
The best part about Pearson is he has like the S, and when you do the double sort of Family Guy of like Quagmire with the chin, and then what's his name, the creepy old dude with the, you can mix that in as well. Pearson Cootie, put that one all together. But I'm gonna go my 2 picks in the 8K range. I'm going to go with. Man, this is tougher than I thought. I definitely want these 8K guys, though. Do I want Rasmus?
No.
No. I want List for sure. So I'll take List as the first one. And then I will take. I'm going to go back to the well with my guy. Yeah, well. Steven Yeager, 8,800. I think he could be in the 9Ks and it wouldn't phase me too much, so I'll take him.
Okay. My next 2 picks are going to be Berger and Lowry.
There you go. Let me see here now. Go down the board.
You took Rory, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We didn't talk about any of these guys down here below Doug Gim, like Dietrich or Bati. We talked about Bati a little. Davis Thompson?
No, I mean, it's Eckroat for me, I think, from down there. Like,
Man. Is there anybody else even lower that I could go to? Your Chan Kim call, maybe. Lashley. My strategy's not really working out too great.
my
so far.
strategy's not working out well. I've left myself too much money.
Yeah. What I wanted to do, and I'm going to keep going with it, but I'm going to just do it anyway. So I'm going to take Rasmus.
Okay, good, because I just had him plugged in to mine, so
Yeah, lovely.
I can take him out.
Yeah.
This is a very chalky lineup, but this is
Chalk works in this head-to-head setting. I'm just
Yeah,
trying to
that's
set up
true.
something different to beat sort of a strategy here. But yeah, I like this start.
I'm gonna go. I could go Henley Cole, I think. Could I do that? I don't love that. No, I can't even go. I have $400 not enough, because I could go Henley and Ben Ann, which actually isn't a terrible. Like, I feel like if you're gonna play like some of these chalky guys in the 9K range, that would be the way to do it.
Yeah, you can get away with it for sure.
And I do. Let's see. I'm gonna go. I like Tom Kim this week, so I'm gonna take Tom Kim. And I am. Do I want to take? I don't want to put Minwoo into this. Like that guy. You know what? I am gonna put Minwoo into this. Nah, fuck it. I'll put in Keith Mitchell. I bet him to win. So I'll go Tom Kim and Keith Mitchell and leave $600 on the table. I don't know who I'd go up to, though, because it's not like I'm taking Parker Cootie up to someone at 57 and Carson Young up to 73. There's no one really at 73 I like. Probably could have made a better decision with Berger or Lowry, but whatevs. That's my team. We'll recap here in a second once you make your final pick.
I'll go with the guy you mentioned earlier. I'm going to go with Neesmith and Ben Griffin to round it out.
Griffin.
Yeah, sticking with the Family Guy theme. Pizza.
So my team against you, remember, I'm 3-1-1. Somehow we tied.
Let me write this down.
In a
for second.
head-to-head.
So head-to-head is this, and then Mayo head-to-head is who? Okay, who's your team?
It is Tom Kim, most expensive player, followed by Shane Lowry at 93, Daniel Berger at 92, Keith Mitchell at 9,000, with Carson Young at 6,700 and Parker Cootie at 5,100. Parker Cootie.
Yeah, I like your team.
Thank you.
They project similar, but you got guys you actually wanted, and I just built for a different strategy. So try and leverage this. Again, this is the going to be the true battle because it is the Rory no 9K build versus the
9K, no
3
Rory.
9K plus even a 10K. I mean, you went even more aggressive, so I do like that, but it's just to show off that you can do that this week. Like, look at your lineup: 10K, 9K, 9K, 9K range, and then you've got just Cootie and Carson Young have to come through for you, and hope your other guys that cost that money do their job.
And I do think this is a week, sometimes we do talk about this. And now with the new pricing difference, I do think that the structure, you talk about like, hey, what's the point of like getting the 6,200 guy through? Like, you still need guys to score on the weekend a lot of the time. I think especially at like more difficult tournaments like this, if you can sneak the $5,100 guy through, it's probably pretty good.
This is a different setup where like the 6 of 6s, that's more like on a easier track.
Yeah.
When everyone's like, oh, if I just make this guy there, first of all, your guys up top, it's a putting contest. They might not be making all their putts and scoring like you think. And then your other guy coming through doesn't necessarily give you any upside either. This week, 6 of 6 is great. So you start there. And with your lineup, if you get your 4 9K and above guys, 9K, 92, 93, and 10-1 all get through. Parker Cootie coming off 2 top 25s, one at a pretty tough track. And then your guy, Carson Young, who you have all the faith in the world in, like, you're in good shape.
The last time I had this much faith in someone at this course, they shot 17 over par. It was Zach Blair in 2017, I think.
And then he put up like a top 3 last year in some tough field.
I was on him one of the weeks he was good.
Wasn't it the Wells Fargo when Wyndham Clark won, maybe?
There was no way that I was on. He did do well that week. There was no way I was on him that
Okay.
week. There was no way I was taking Mini Man at a long Bombers track.
Yeah, that's why. Like you say, sometimes it's just random, though. Like that happens. We mentioned earlier, like Carson Young, when we get to the players, well, no, who would want him somewhere like that? But that's what you get.
I mean, that's where you would want Carson Young, though. Like you would think, like, I mean, at least maybe I have a different vision of Carson Young than everyone else does.
I think that's definitely true.
He's a little mini person who just hits every fairway.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. And then when you're talking about the players, I know it's capitalized for emphasis and what's happening, but the strength of field is through the roof. And so, no matter where they put Carson Young on the price tag that week,
Oh, it's going to be low.
There's
It'll be
gonna-
5,700.
and there'll be guys around him that
Are real names.
are real names. And I'm actually, I am still truly interested to see if they continue with this path as far as pricing goes. I don't know that this is going to necessarily stick around. I think what's happening is in these events where Tony Finau 5-1 or 6-1, Rory 7-1, they're trying to make an emphasis or put an emphasis on the difference in the betting odds versus if you get to the players and you know how the books are going to spread it out now. I don't know if they'll actually continue with it there. We'll have to wait and see.
That's interesting. Like, if there is the one big player in a field, is this the pricing? And then if it's a normal event, it's a normal event? That's interesting.
We'll have to wait and see. But I have no insight on it.
So Carson Young, just for reference, his best performance, like approach performances, like last year, he played really well in Mexico last year at a different point in the schedule. He came inside the T15. He was, 8th last week, so played really well in Puerto Rico, a longer track, but an easier track. But when you see him play some of the shorter, more difficult ones, really good in Canada, really good at Colonial, really good at the Bunny Ranch, really good at Heritage. Like, the Heritage was an elevated event. He came in 19th. Mm-hmm. And, like, these are the ones that I would stack with the players, like, as a part of that rotation of accuracy, good irons, hopefully you make some putts.
Yeah, people just compare him too much to other guys around him and not enough about what is he going to do. He's not looking at that. He's just looking at the leaderboard. Fly up the leaderboard and do what he can to finish where he finishes. T19 at an elevated event, like you said, is solid. You're up against a very tough field at what can be a tricky course, and yet he just does his job and finds his way up the board, and that's all that matters. And in DraftKings, it helps a ton usually as well.
And just looking at Fantasy National, looking at his splits in different types of rounds, like he putts well on Bermuda and POA. He's not a negative putter anywhere, which is always really nice. That he's a guy who, if he doesn't have his best stuff, can kind of bail you out. Mm-hmm. But that's another thing that I like about Fitz too, although it hasn't really translated. He hasn't never really put it on West Coast POA, at least, all that well. But like sometimes when he doesn't have his A game, he can like putt his way out of problems, which is always really nice. But if you just weight rounds by difficulty, like easy, average, and difficult, Carson Young is great in easy conditions and great in difficult conditions, bad in average conditions.
So we'll see how this week shakes out. But
so hopefully it plays
6,700 is the discount you're looking for, and I mean you can get after it no matter what. But look what it gets you in your lineup. Back to the original point. Mm-hmm. Everything.
Well, that will do it for me, at least on the Pat Mayo Experience. Hopefully got some more shows coming at you this week, and then some new stuff coming at you next week. ShipItNation.com, code Mayo. Get you a discount on any of the packages, right?
Yeah, any membership you guys want, get over there, check it out. 8 major sports now, so lots going on over at ShipItNation.com. Use code Mayo, gets you 10% off anything over there. You can follow me on X at ToeTag and Tambo. Tidbits are up. I get them up early now if I can because a lot going on lately, but just getting them up and getting them out so people can check them out. There was a lot of good stuff in them last few weeks. Some winners, lots going on.
Are you guys doing Cricket World Cup at Ship It Nation?
No.
Someone suggested that I get into Cricket World Cup because that's coming up. I could really like monopolize the market on that.
They said pickleball is the sport to get into.
Cuss said that.
Okay. He could be right.
He's not.
Taking over the world.
Not taking over the world.
Okay.
It's taking Bernhard Langer's Achilles away.
Did you play any pickleball when you were?
I did not, but I saw a bunch of olds playing it.
Okay.
You know who loves pickleball? People who can't play other sports anymore.
Okay. Shaming everybody, Pat, right now, but it's okay. I think you could get into pickleball. You could be really good at it.
Listen, man, I'd play Foursquare. If we got some chalk out on the driveway here, we'd be good to go. I'd rather play Foursquare than play pickleball. Basically, pickleball is just like advanced Foursquare.
Don't you like ping pong?
Not really.
I like ping pong, so I
Like
think
ping
I could
pong's fine. Like when I'm
pickleball.
drinking, like we're at a party or something, I'll play a game of ping pong. I'm not like going to the ping pong club.
Yeah.
Like I would go and play tennis. I'd go and play badminton. But I don't want to play pickle. Like I want to do something where I go and move around. I go and actively play squash.
Yeah, pickleball. I think
You just stand there.
Oh, the pickleball hate, man. It's too much.
Listen, my mother-in-law plays it. She's 67. Like she loves it.
It's like golf, man. Anybody can play at any age.
I would agree, but golf. Come on now.
You could pick up sponsorships, pickleball sponsorships.
Do I want to deal with those people though?
I think you've got better stuff coming down the pipeline. You don't have to worry about pickleball.
Maybe that's true. FantasyNational.com/Mayo. Get yourself 20% off any of the membership levels. A lot of big events coming up, and you can always catch the walkthrough on Sundays where I show everyone how to use the tools and how I'm using them. And maybe you think that I'm using them improperly, then you can use them better. So make it easy on yourself. Get that 20% off. Newsletter completely free to sub to. That's down in the description right now. And the DraftKings Listeners League. I suggest you get into this one, all right? I'm Pat Mayo. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.
Mayo experience. Experience.